Welcome to On the Spot, a brand new podcast brought to you by Internal Communications here at Portland Community College. This is where we get straight to the answers about the questions you, our PCC employees, want to know most about. Every episode, we dive into topics that you have submitted, whether it's about the college operations, our community, or the amazing people behind the scenes. And the best part? Each episode is short, sweet, and to the point. It's perfect for a quick listen during your day. Episodes will be released every 2 weeks, so make sure you're subscribed. I'm your host, Danielle Gabriel, Director of Marketing at PCC. Today is our guest, Amber Mendel, Director of Auxiliary Services. Amber is here to talk to us about food services at PCC.
Hi, Danielle. Thank you for having me.
Hi, Amber. How are you today?
I'm great.
So, Amber, how long have you been at PCC?
I've been at PCC for 10 years this March coming up, and I've been on my role as Director of Auxiliary Services for almost 2 years.
And I know we're here to focus on the catering aspect of auxiliary services, but can you give us a little bit more insight into what else auxiliary services covers?
Yeah. I like to say that auxiliary covers all the retail aspects of the college, with the exception of tuition. So I oversee the college bookstores, the district print center, parking and transportation, and food services.
That is a lot of services.
It is a big portfolio, yes.
Can you give us an overview about the various dining locations around PCC campus?
Yeah. For cafeteria and coffee operations, we have locations at each of the 4 campuses. And then we also have footprints on all of our centers with vending and some small coffee operations. So we have some kind of footprint at all PCC buildings.
And then do any of them have any particularly unique offerings or features?
Food service has kind of been stagnant at PCC for probably certainly the last 10 years that I've been at PCC. So we haven't really looked at expanding and offering different options at each of the campuses. It was always kind of the mindset that all of the campuses had to be equal. I think now we recognize that each of our campuses are very different. We have very different communities surrounding each of our campuses. So we're really trying to put more culturally appropriate food at each of our campuses. A good example of that is over at Southeast Campus. We have a large Asian population over there. And so we're really trying to meet their needs. So in the past, we were kind of like about being equitable with all our food. And as a result, it wasn't, well, we were equal with all our food, but we weren't equitable. And so now we're really looking at offering what our students want at each of the campuses.
That's a really good insight. And did you gain that information from feedback from the students formally? Did you guys do interviews, or was it just feedback that they'd been sharing with you over time?
Yeah, our students are really outspoken, and I appreciate that as a new director because they will email me almost daily. I get emails from our students that offer either ways to improve or kudos to the staff or just point out things that they would like to see that are missing at each of our campuses. So we're trying to put together a student advisory committee. So any students out there listening to this that would like to be included in talking about food services and the future of food services, please reach out to either me or Morgan Stein, who is the new manager of food services. And we would love to have your input.
I think that's great. And I'm sure that everyone appreciates that approach to serving food on all 4 different campuses. I would imagine it's going to be a large undertaking. And then there's the whole logistical part of it, of food ordering and deciding the menus and all of the other pieces of that puzzle that will come to play at some point in this process.
Yeah, it really is complicated. And as I just mentioned, I have a new leader, a new manager. She's been on board since August, and her name is Morgan Stein, and she is a trained chef, and she came from both a hospital background and also Ritz-Carlton. So she has a lot of really good experiences that she can draw to this organization, and so she has great ideas, and she's really, really collaborative, and her focus is on communicating out to our students and really giving them the services they need. As I said, we've been a little stagnant for the last 10 to 15 years. So we're starting the process of bringing on new vendors, talking to them about what they can offer us, and starting to slowly take baby steps in building a new food service. But yeah, it is a big undertaking, and it's going to take time before we're the department that I want us to be.
How do you plan meals for so many different dietary needs and preferences? Because I would imagine that in and of itself is a whole other challenge.
It really is. And that's where it's really important for me to get an executive chef in the management positions at each of the campuses. And now we have that. So Morgan is an executive chef. And then over at Southeastern Cascade, we have Kyle Griffith. And he is an executive chef. He came most recently from the Multnomah Athletic Club. Darren Rose over at Rock Creek is an executive chef, and he's been with us for 20 years. And so we have this really great group of leadership that's starting to look at all our processes and bring in all their knowledge and then incorporate these vendors. And honestly, we've done a really bad job of it, if I'm going to just call that out. So we're really focused right now on finding some gluten-free options. Anybody that has had experience catering at PCC, when offered a gluten-free sandwich, we have only offered this one roll that's very small, very hard. So just last week, we started bringing in vendors and trying out some gluten-free bread options. And actually, there are many, many options that are better out there than what we've been using for 10 years. So it is going to be a slow process, but I feel like we're going to get there. And eventually, probably within the next year and a half, we're going to be able to offer vegan, vegetarian, and gluten-free options, and also be considerate of people's allergies in a more comprehensive way than we have before.
That's exciting.
Yeah. Most recently, we've brought in one of the things that Morgan has done is we have a daily special, and in the past, we had not offered a equal vegetarian special to go with that. So going forward, there will always be a vegetarian special to compete or to side by side with our regular special. Additionally, we brought in some new vegan grain bowls and some falafel wraps in the last couple weeks, and they're available in our grab and go operations.
That's exciting. As a vegetarian, I will say I have observed these things, and I am personally, and I know members of my team probably feel similarly excited about having more options to grab and go when we're working on campus as well. So we look forward to seeing that develop. And dovetailing into the grab and go aspect of it more, how do you all accommodate people with busy schedules who need those quick snacks or meals on the go, and creating a menu that can serve them in a way that is also healthy and nutritious at the same time?
Right now, all we have given them is the grab and go, and then regular kind of old school vending where you can get candy, Cliff bars, some chips, that kind of thing. We are exploring some options that I'm super excited about, and I expect that I'll be rolling these out by next fall. But there are a lot of smart vending options. I've identified one that is a salad machine. I am so excited about this machine.
Sounds really cool.
I know. The only way I can really describe it is there's different chutes in this machine, and you fill it with carrots, nuts, cheeses, your different greens, and then you just on the screen, you just choose what you want, and it spins around and dumps all these things into your bowl and then pushes your bowl out to you. I'm just so excited about these kind of technological options because one of our biggest problems is labor. So this would help us with our labor problem, as well as meeting the needs of our students for the times when we're not open around campuses, and also giving them back to that healthy options that is customizable. So I'm really excited about that. There's also some smart refrigeration options, which we can just put sandwiches and grab and go things in there. And they have to use their credit card to get it open. But once they get it open, they can move things around, look at expiration dates, not choose anything. It takes a picture and charges your card.
Oh, wow.
And then for some of our campuses, we have some food deserts, particularly at Swan Island. It's really terrible. And I just feel I have so much empathy for the staff and the students out there that really cannot get good food. So I'm really considering kind of an automated smart market for them. Similar to the things you see at airports where there's no person manning that market. It's just cameras and you swipe your credit card and take what you want.
Yeah. Because even around Swan Island, there's not really a lot of convenient food options that you can just go to even off the campus area at all.
Yeah,
So.
there is a McDonald's and one single food cart, and I'm driven by that food cart around lunch, and there's probably 400 people in line at the food cart. Yeah. So, and then additionally, we are actually, speaking of food carts, we're exploring food carts on our campuses, whether that model is going to be an internal model where we manage the food carts or whether we're going to contract out with vendors and support our small businesses in our community and have them use some of our space for food carts is still undecided, but we're assessing that right now. And I think that's something that's really going to bridge the gap between our services and our operating hours.
It would, from a labor perspective and from a management perspective as well. Yeah, that's interesting. My team and I were actually just talking about how awesome it would be to have food carts on campus because, during in-service, we had those food carts and we were all dreaming about how it would be great if on a regular basis there were food cart options that we could go to for like a quick, convenient meal. And then that gives variety as well without you and your team having to do all the logistics of ordering and sourcing and everything else. So
yes, while also supporting, our community, which is in our name. So yeah, I think that's really a compelling model, and it's something that I've been interested in even before, like you, before I oversaw food services because I wanted carts on campus. And so it's something I'm definitely exploring.
Back to the salad vending machine, that also sounds awesome. And it sounds like a little bit of a less labor intensive and a more almost sanitary version of a salad bar that also gives you access like consistently across time.
Yes.
That's super cool. Is there a high likelihood that that'll come to campuses?
Yeah, there's a high likelihood of that. I am getting my 3 bids together and going to put that through procurement pretty soon. So yes, I expect that we'll see that by next fall. Yeah.
Do you have any plans, big picture, longer term, to think about more local vendors and potentially partnering with local farms or serving more produce from that area as well? Yeah,
we are. Thank you for asking that. We are pursuing that currently. Previous to Morgan coming on board in August, I had joined a college farm coalition. So down at Chemeketa, they have a lot of farms in their area. So they started this group, basically a committee of different university and college people that are interested in partnering with the smaller farms around the area. And so it was already bubbling up when I became director. And now Morgan has come in, and she is very climate focused and sustainability focused. And so she joined that group, and now she's starting to not only apply for grants to help this work, but also meet with these small farmers in this area. It's compelling on multiple levels, as some of these small farms are also BIPOC. So it just really fits with our model. And it's something I'm really excited about because I would love to see healthy, fresh options in our cafeterias, and we just don't have that right now.
If there was a dream meal that you could offer at PCC at the different campuses, if all of the things that we were talking about were not a constraint, budget, sourcing, time, etc., do you have an idea of what that would be?
If I had to choose one, I've been really focused on getting a baked potato bar. I think it's kind of low labor. It's cheap, especially in the winter. I think people really love it, and they can customize it. So I'm looking at things like that where you can offer something that is not necessarily expensive, but that people can kind of do their own thing with and make it theirs. And I think that's what people are looking for, instead of just, here you get a burger and you can have cheese or bacon and that's it. So I would like more choices just across the board.
What is one thing that you think would surprise people most about running the food service at PCC?
How small our staff is. Just the depth of the operation is that we run all of the physical operations at all 4 of the campuses, which there's 2 at each campus. So 8 of those, we self-manage all the vending across our district, and our district is a huge footprint. And then we also handle all the catering across the district, and we do this with a staff of 17 people. they're really amazing. And then that's 17 classified employees. And then we have students that fill in our operations, probably 10 to 15 students each term at each campus. So we do this with such a small amount of people, and we do such great work. So I think that's what people would be surprised about.
As you said, you are also responsible for the catering arm of all things PCC. So can you talk a little bit more about that for our internal folks here?
So first of all, the college is working right now on creating an outward-facing events department. So we can bring in revenue with all these spaces that we have that are beautiful and have conferences and events in that. That will that's going to definitely affect our catering business, and we're going to need to start staffing up for that, and also identifying people that are just focused on catering and kind of parsing out my staff to be more focused and intentional. Additionally, there's been this long-term attitude, I guess, from food services where we won't allow our staff and our faculty to have potlucks in their offices. We don't allow them to have pizza delivered for an internal meeting. And as a result, it set us up to have a lot of conflict with our own colleagues and our own staff. And there's no real purpose for it. The only thing I can think looking into our health code laws is that it was just easier for the staff to say no than it was for them to say yes. And so we are looking at health code. We are redefining all our catering processes. And one of the things that we identified the other day when we met with the 4 health departments in our 4 counties that we have, that adds a different layer of complication, was that we can have potlucks, that an internal meeting is basically anybody that has a PCC ID. So you can have students and it still be an internal meeting where you have pizza delivered or you're having a potluck. So I think that these kind of more catering-friendly attitudes are going to start to bridge the gap in between not only students but staff and this kind of long-term conflict that they've had with food services that's cast kind of given us a bad reputation. So catering is the way that I'm going to start to bridge that gap. And then as you see healthy options and different customizable food in our cafeterias, I feel like we're really going to kind of get over the top of this mountain that we're trying to climb right now.
Well, thank you so much for joining us today. Amber, do you have anything else that you wanted to add to the ether?
Just that we really, back to student feedback and staff feedback, we're really in this place where we're trying to rebuild food services. So we're really open to ideas and any kind of feedback, honestly. So if any of you listening to this and you have some ideas about how we can improve or something you want to see in our kitchens, reach out to Morgan Stein. And her email is morgan.stein@pcc.edu. And she gave me permission to give her email out and said, please tell people to reach out to me with their ideas, because without our community and knowing what you guys want to see, we can't be what you want us to be. So we're open to that. So I think that's the last thing that I want to say to everybody at PCC.
Well, that's a wrap. And for those of you listening, thank you for tuning in. Our first season of On the Spot at PCC will feature bi-weekly episodes where we bring in guests from across the college to chat about what work they're supporting and answer your questions. Again, I'm host Danielle Gabriel, and it's been a pleasure chatting with you. We'll see you next time.